three. Say hi. Say welcome to Alive with Ariana. Say hi. Say hi. Blow kisses. Blow kisses. Mwah. Say welcome to Alive with Ariana. Hi, welcome to Align with Ariana. I am Ariana, of course, your favorite psychic medium. I am able to go beyond the veil of life and death to connect with spirits that are sometimes nice and sometimes not so much. My stories are very real and very true, as I do connect with spirits, so enter at your own risk. In this Tell My Story, I want to connect with Ahmaud Arbery. Now, many of you have reached out to me to cover this story. I was a little hesitant to go ahead and cover this story because, as you know, I always wait until Spirit directs me to cover the story. I did recently receive some inclinations that he was trying to connect, so I am going to connect with him on this Tell My Story. Now, what I will let you know is that he has a lot of information and he wants to cover it all, so he might not be able to cover every single thing here and now, but I will do my best to make sure that his message does get out there. So initially connecting with him, he does remember the names of the individuals, or he is familiar with the names, because this was not the first instance or the first incidents that he had with the individuals. There was some sort of altercation before, that something had popped up before. So he was very aware that that a lot of people were watching him. And he was very aware that a lot of people actually were trying to keep tabs on him. He's also mentioning something as it relates to some type of monitor, an ankle monitor or some sort of monitoring. So it sounds like he's making those references to a monitoring from when he was referencing this ankle monitoring or some sort of a monitoring report for someone. He is saying something about someone was being monitored, so he does feel like this was him, that they had been watching him for quite some time, and that's how they knew exactly where he was at. He's saying this is not the first time that this has happened to him as far as being followed, because he said he's been followed in the neighborhood before, and he was confronted before on another occasion with some other individual. So he's not saying that he was afraid. He is saying that he was prepared. He was prepared in the best way of not having fear. His spirit and his soul was not that of fear. He did not worry. He didn't have fear in his body, in his bone. He wasn't made from that. That wasn't his ancestors. That wasn't his upbringing. He was very strong. His energy is a God force energy. What he comes from and who he connects with, I want to make sure that I'm very clear about this, is that he has a God force energy. He is one of the gods that has come back as an ancestor and pretty much relived this life to make a huge impact on the world. He is saying that he is the Malcolm X. He is the generation that was here to fight for our revolutionary energy and to make sure that there will be some sort of consequence out of this. He is not laying down without a fight. So although this happened to him and at the situation and at the time, he is making reference to he keeps saying something as it relates to later in the evening or something around 8 o'clock at night, but I believe he's making reference to that the night before. So he's saying that this is not the first time or that he's had this, or this is some instances that has occurred before. He said that he used to do some sort of night running, or the 8 o'clock he's mentioning. He used to do a night running or something that he had to switch his time to running to or exercising at night, because he said that he felt the energy around him being followed, and then he said he felt a constant energy of always being followed. He's saying that he was actually preparing for he was an athlete, but he's also referencing some sort of marathon or something he was preparing for. He's saying that he always wanted to keep his body up in tip-top shape, and he was always wanting to be the very best at what he was doing. He's also referencing some sort of sport, either a football or basketball, because he is showing me images of a sport. It looks like he's referencing football, but he is saying that that was his strong connection, and that's what he was connected to. So he wanted to always be prepared and be ready for that. His chance, that was actually one of a dream that he did have, to play or be in some sort of sports area, to actually succeed in that. That was something that he held very dear to his heart. He's saying that he would also, he did like to connect and play with some sort of video game as well. That was something that he loved to do. And I keep seeing his energy and his aura, his spirit, you guys. It's so powerful and it's so strong. I can't even express to you how many of people around him, he said that he felt the community, or there was some type of marathon or community walk that someone did in his community, and he said he felt the energy of the powerful, the movement of this, and he will not be able to take that away. He wants to relive that moment forever. He was very closely connected to his grandmother. He's saying that his grandmother energy is with him, and he is flying very high. He keeps saying something as it relates to P or Pearl. So I'm not for sure if this was his grandmother's name or a nickname, but he's referencing pearls a lot, something as it relates to the water or shells. So this could be something that's connected with his grandmother, but he does have his grandmother's energy. He's saying that he feels it, he's very connected to it, and he's very close with it. That is helping guide him on this path. His energy and his frequency and his light is so powerful that he does not feel a bit of sadness. He does feel, however, anger. It's not necessarily anger to the way that is blocking him from getting to his destination, because he has transitioned. He has made his transition over because he was met with a strong, powerful energy of a grandmother. He was also met with some powerful ancestors, because he was that God force energy, that ancestor that had came once again. A lot of people didn't know him because he was very quiet. He was very pulled in, very reserved, but he was very conscious in the way of keeping his mind, body, spirit, and soul together, because working out was very important for him. Making sure that he had the physical endurance to do things were very important for him. But he's saying that the weeks leading up to this, he knew that something was off. He knew the changes. He could feel the changes within his body. He was very in tune with his physical body, so he could feel the changes. So he felt something was off. Something was going to change for him dramatically. But he also knew that he was going to make an impact on the world. He was aware of being followed for a couple of weeks, because he said that he felt the tension already before it happened. So he's showing me like something that happened 3 days prior to this, and whatever happened 3 days prior to this, he had came into some sort of confrontation, and what he is describing a near-death experience that happened 3 days prior to this. But he's saying that he was able to kind of snap out of it. He was kind of in a daze right before the situation had occurred, but some sort of confrontation had happened, and he's also referencing the same day that he passed away, that there was a confrontation, but he was also in a daze. He felt like that he was dreaming. He didn't feel like this would be happening at the present moment and the timing that it happened in this year alone, 2020. But he felt like it was some sort of daze. He was in a daze, or he was dreaming that it wasn't real. And when this situation occurred, when he was confronted, I keep seeing that he was trying to avoid at all costs. He was doing everything possible to avoid this situation. And he even switched his workout times, where he did a lot of things. He even switched the route or the way he goes as far as his exercising route. It's a lot of people that are in the community that watch him that know his routine, so it was not abnormal. He is also mentioning that he was no stranger to the area. Everyone knew him. Everyone knew who he was, and everyone knew that he was running in the area. But he also knew that the area that he was in was not saved, that this community was a community that stood together but created a wall within the community. So there were a lot of secrets within the community that a lot of people were not aware of. He's also mentioning or making reference to someone's daughter that he used to date as well. So he's making references to a connecting energy as it relates to him dating or connecting to a female energy within the neighborhood, someone's daughter or some female energy that he was connected to. He said that he had to keep some sort of distance, but he was also able to keep a friendship relationship. And this had caused a lot of wrath or created a lot of negative energy within the community that he had to deal with. And this was very important. This was one of the reasons why a lot of the energy start attacking him, is because he was known as very friendly, and he had this huge nice personality. He was very quiet, but his personality shined through his outer appearance. Even though with him being quiet and reserved, his personality did shine. And he's saying that is kind of what drew the attention in, that he noticed. That's when he noticed that he started getting different attention, was when he was communicating with a particular female or someone in the neighborhood. That's when he noticed that a lot of things were different. But he said that he tried his best to just come and go, to go in and just basically act like what the area, the community did not exist, but just come and go constantly. But he was not able to do that. He said that they actually followed him or went or had some type of tracking or something device on him as it relates to him going to the store or doing some sort of shopping. So he's referencing being able to went to the store, and he was being followed from the store as well. So he's not even referencing the day he passed away. He's referencing a lot of the information that led up to this. Now, I want to remind you guys that the information that I am picking up on has not been confirmed. So it's very important to connect with his side of the story and what he views. That is what I am here for. That is what I am connecting with, is that I am connecting with the pieces of information that he wants to tell or fill in for his story. And he is making it very clear that he was aware of them trying to do some antagonizing or hurtful things towards him prior to this. He did not have the spirit of fear, but he is reversing his spirit of Malcolm X, of being very strong, very willed, very powered. He was into his books very much so. He was also reading a lot of material as he was focusing on his direction in life and where he wanted to go and the impact that he wanted to make. But he never knew that he was going to make this much impact in people's lives. This has changed for him because he felt very sure that he was going to make an impact. He just didn't know how. So the feelings that he has about how it happened is a little bit bittersweet for him, because he's on one hand saying that he's glad that he was able to be the movement, the push, the true example, but he's also saying that it was very saddened because he didn't believe that it would happen in this time frame, in this instant, that this would be something that he would experience. But he said that he was prepared. He was a knight. He was a warrior. He was true in spirit and truth. And the gods and the ancestors have protected him on his journey that he has received to move forward. His light and his presence energy will survive forever. The gods and the ancestors are coming. They are back. It is time. His message is that it is time to stand in your divinity of who you are, to know who you are. Do not fear as fears of weakness, but to know that the strength is coming from within to move out of your body. He is here in the present moment, in the present tense, and he is guiding his love and his light and his peaceful energy unto you all. He said, do not get angry. Do not hold grudges. Do not hold vengeance, but make sure that you make them feel the presence of you, the God force energy within you. His energy is what he made people feel. He made people feel his presence, his God force energy, and that's why he knew that his timing was going to be very, very important. He also is making himself aware of what happened because he's not taken back, you guys. If anything, he knows that the community is in shock, but he is not in shock. He was prepared. He was a God force energy. And when I say this out of respect to him and his family. He was a powerful God force energy. And it was nothing, not even fear, that could make him stop in any type of way to get where he needed to go. He was very persistent on his life and his purpose in life. He knew he was going to make an impact. He just didn't know it was going to be this. Now, he wants you to connect with the God in you because this is a moment that is going to push the people forward. He felt the energy following him. He was not afraid. But what made his energy more afraid, when he realized how many people were involved, when he realized the whole neighborhood was involved in this, he said he remembered that it was people that pretty much he saw other energies. He did not only see two men coming towards him, he saw other energies as well that he's making reference to, and other neighbors that he's making references to. And these were other energies that it was almost like a cult. It was like an energy of a cult or a power that were trying to stop him. So he knew that he was up against something very powerful. But what helped him make his transition was that he had support from the ancestors to make his transition. He is very well prepared of the next journey. So what he is talking about, he's not necessarily talking about the past anymore because he knows that it's no more. But he is talking about the present energy, the future energy that is going to bring and is going to move so many changes and directives in life. He's telling young men to be conscious and be aware of their surroundings, but also move without fear, because fear is a weakness. He saw fear as a weakness, not a strength. So he's saying, don't be fearful of this type of evil, of this energy, of this darkness, of this cult. But know that it is present, it is real, but also know that what is even more powerful, what is more powerful than ever is the presence of God in you, the ability to move or shift or make your life into the direction that you wanted to go at all costs. So fear nothing and fear no one. Move in the element, in the energy that you are to be feared for yourself, because you are God and you are a powerful force within yourself as God is within you. His principles in life and that what he is connecting to, this is something, you guys, he's feeling very strongly in, and he is not folding. He had a double A in his name. He had two A's, so he was very headstrong and very powerful. He knew who he was, and he's asking you guys to really tap into that moment. Do not fear. He doesn't like hurt. He doesn't like pain. He wants the community to move forward in a way that is going to push a huge involvement, and not just marching, not just walking, but being an impact, making systems and structures support what we need to move forward, support the movement of things being unjust, support things to help see things clearly. He is making it very clear that he is the generation of Malcolm X, and he is ready to move and shift and make a radical change. He is not waiting for things to happen. His energy in this is moving. It was divine that things were left to the public. He does not feel surprised at all by this. He knew that spirit would take care of this. He knew that this was an element of spirit that will move forward. It is not surprising to him whatsoever that this has gotten so much cover. He is ready for this. I can only take on his energy and his emotion, as he is not weeping, he is not crying, he does not feel pain or hurt. He is ready to reunite with his God force energy and take over. He is ready to strengthen the community and move forward in ways that you cannot even imagine. I want to come back on this story to see what the outcome and the judgment is. He's already 100% focused on the outcome, and that's the only thing that he is focused on. He is ready to move forward. He appreciates those that come and support in the community by setting up, preparing, and showing that they love him. But he does not have tears at this this moment. He doesn't have fear at this moment, nor does he have worries at this moment. He is wanting you to focus on the shift and the power and the things that you can change, because you are strong enough to do that, such as he was. So I want to thank you guys for aligning with Ariana. If you would like your own personal reading, please visit www.alignwithariana.com. Like and subscribe for more details, for more goodies, for more working your magic.